like to, tonight we're having our Springfield Township Board of Trustees meeting, January the 20th, 2015. It's 5:30 p.m. And Mr. Burney, can you do the roll call?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Burney. Present. Mr. Honeywell.
Present.
Ms. McFarland.
Present.
All the trustees are present.
And if we could have Assistant Chief Browder lead us, please, in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We've had several meetings since we last met, so I need approval of the minutes from our regular meeting, October 14, 2014, November 12, 2014, regular work sessions, which was September the 24th, 2014, and October the 29th, 2014, and a special meeting on November the 10th, 2014. Need a motion to approve those minutes?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes approved.
And Mr. Burney, our fiscal officer, can you provide the financial report, please?
Yes, ma'am. For the month ending December 31st, 2014, the township expenditures were $2,595,000, and these are rounded numbers. And the receipts were $1,300,000. The ending cash balance of $15,700,000 includes obligations for expenditures, payrolls, regular operating costs, and ongoing capital improvement projects and investments. What I need is a motion to approve the receipts, warrants, payroll expenditures, updated and current revenue reports for the period ending 12/13/2014.
So seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and I just wanted to let everyone know that financial reports are available for viewing at the administrator's offices weekly during regular business hours.
Thank you, Mr. Burney. Next on our agenda is the department action and discussion items. Mr. Henningham, can you provide that information?
I'd be happy to do so, Ms. McFarland. I have a number of action items. The first deals with our aggregation program, and the action I will be looking for, obviously, is the board to make a selection for our natural gas supplier, and then also I will need a motion authorizing me to enter into that agreement, a new supply agreement with that natural gas supplier. A little background, as the board is well aware, we've had an aggregation program for the past 9 years. And that program really has two different components to it, the natural gas component and also the electric component. Our natural gas supply agreement, the one that we're currently on, is for 1 year, so it is expiring at the end of March. And because of the timing of the way the program works, in order for us to continue sort of seamless for our residents, we actually go back to Duke. We have to name that now so that it's in place for that April 1st. So, as we've done in the past, when an agreement ends, we've always gone through some type of bidding process, which is what we've done this time. The only slight difference this time around is in the past, Independent Energy has been our broker actually, and have brokered those that process for us and those bids. Back in November, the board took action to give notice to Independent Energy, to give the board basically the option to consider some other potential suppliers and other brokers. We did that with Energy Alliances, and so this time around we sort of have the bids that we received from our brokers. It's been for the last 9 years, Independent Energy, but also the additional bid that we received brokered by Energy Alliances. So those are the two bids. That process, the bidding process, was conducted through an RFP, and bids opened on Thursday the 15th. Chris and Dan were part of that, so I'm going to just let Chris walk you through what the bid proposals were, and then the action we made, obviously, is the board to make a selection of which bid you want to select, and then that authorization that I requested for the supply agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Hankingham. As the board's aware, and as Mr. Hankingham is aware, we have put out a request for pricing for our natural gas aggregation program a week prior to the 15th. through both of our brokers that we currently have under contract with independent energy consultants as well as energy alliances. That bid was structured in a way that allowed the brokers and suppliers to provide both a fixed price, a variable pricing formula, as well as an alternative strategy that potentially would give the township the best opportunity to provide potential price stability as well as an overall better price or program for the township residents. All suppliers actually did that. They supplied both a fixed price as well as alternative pricing from independent energy consultants. Energy alliances, their supplier, Integrous Energy, did supply a bid which focused primarily on their ability to provide what they term as a flex-down pricing program. The bids, again, were structured in a way that they gave us the most options to move forward with our programs and give us the best opportunity to potentially receive the most favorable rates for our residents. So the trustees, you guys have had a chance to review those since last week, and as you're aware, Independent Energy Consultants is recommending that we continue with Interstate Gas Supply, or IGS, as a supplier, and Energy Alliances is recommending that the supplier, Integrous Energy, with their flex-down pricing strategy and modeling is their preferred or their recommended supplier. So I guess at this point, the board has reviewed them and you can discuss and determine what decision or direction you want to go in.
Thank you, Chris.
Joe, do you have any comments?
I would. I did have a chance to review both of these, and sometimes it's kind of an apples to oranges comparison, but the Independent Energy Consultants has been our supplier. We have traditionally
They've been our broker.
Our broker, excuse me, and IGS is supplier.
Correct.
And we've gone with a variable rate month to month. And while there's good in that, and our philosophy was always, let's try and beat Duke's price, it leaves our residents vulnerable to spikes in the market. If energy prices have gone high, and we have seen that in the past. And in fact, we even experienced it to some degree last winter with what people call the polar vortex, another word for cold weather. And the energy prices shot up, and so we paid more than I think we would have if we had been on a strategy like Energy Alliance uses. And there they have they'll go with either a variable or fixed price, and then they will use what they call a flex down strategy where they can buy options. And if the gas prices go up, they can exercise the options and buy the gas at a lower amount. If the prices go down, then they don't exercise the options.
Right.
And they buy it at the cheaper market price. So it seems to me, and I know when we originally started this, what might have been 10 years ago? 9 years ago, a long time ago. We originally started this with Westchester and Coleraine, and the three of us all went in together and did this. And I know they have switched to energy alliances, and I've talked to some of the fellow trustees, and they've only had good things to say about it. And I think that strategy, to me, will give us more protection and stability for the residents, and actually a potential for savings. So.
And just to be clear, we obviously are under contract with Energy Alliances now as our broker. The bid we're talking about as far as the supplier is Integrous Energy. So ultimately, the flex down model and strategy will be with Integrous.
Correct. They're they're kind of like their broker.
Correct.
Agent.
Right.
They brought it to us. Yeah, exactly. No, it would be with Integrous. But that's my thoughts on it, and that seemed like the way to go.
Along those lines, I agree with you, Joe. I talked to some of the other trustees, and all of them are happy with the changeover, and think that, beating Duke is fine, but from what I understand, beating Duke is not the most difficult thing to do. And
thing that's worth noting is that I believe with either program, there is no penalty to opt out, to get out even after the opt-out period. Now, that, historically, to go back to Duke wouldn't have been a good thing because our program has saved money, both the gas and electric. But just in case anybody wants to, they have the freedom to do that. You're in the program unless you opt out.
And in fact, you're only eligible for the program if you're either currently in the township's aggregation program or if you're a current customer of Duke. If you have selected a supplier on your own outside of the township's program, then you would not be eligible for our aggregation program.
We don't.
But you can switch back.
You can, you just first have to go back to Duke and then join our aggregation program. That's correct.
Because somebody switched me without me approving it.
Yeah.
I have one question. When is this contract up?
Which contract?
The one we're under now?
The end of March, billing cycle.
That's all under.
So if someone has, in his situation, realized there was a mistake, they can opt in or get into Energy Alliance?
There's a little bit of a process we'll have to go through. We'll have to make sure that they actually go back to Duke before, they can't go straight from a private contract that they selected on their own to our aggregation program because of the utilities laws in Ohio through PUCO requires you to go back to Duke, the public utility, then to our aggregation program. So if anyone has any questions about that, or if they're unsure, if they're in the program, they can always call the township here and ask for myself, and I'll do my best to ensure that they get the proper channel to the program.
Just one other clarification, Chris and I were talking about today, is that let's assume we had a 3-year agreement or a longer agreement that we chose. Every 2 years, you have to go back to the opt-out through by right. Or any time that you have a new broker agreement. So even though we technically wouldn't have been on, we went through the opt-out last year, and we were staying with IGS, we would be going to opt-out because, or if we decide that we're making that switch, it is a de facto opt-out process again. So everybody in the program will have the opportunity to opt out. Again.
Right.
And then consequently, anybody that is a current customer also has, will get that notice to be eligible. So if you're back with Duke, for instance, then you'll get the notice and you'll be able to join, and that's how it works. So there will be another opt-out process because, we are going to have the contract, regardless of who, what supplier we select, whether it be IGS or whether it be Integris, there'll be opt-out notices again.
And we'll be sending those notices out to our customers?
We, not the township, on our behalf, the supplier, something that the supplier does in coordination with the township, if that were already on there, but most of the information is by the supplier.
Because I know that several people have called me and they're a little bit confused about some situation that happened in September with their bill, and their bill.
That's regarding our electric program.
Right, our electric program, and so there was some confusion, and normally when it's time for us to go through a process like this again, there's all of these individuals coming to their doors, knocking on them, and confusing them even more. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Well, one thing I would tell everyone, if they want to compare your rates, don't give them your account number. That happened to us.
That's good.
Once they had our account number, we didn't approve it, but they switched us in.
Really?
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah.
So never give your account number out.
Well, I read both of the bids as well, and looked at the information, and I've always been impressed, with the company that we have, and I'm also very impressed now with what Energy Alliance has, and I'm really interested in the Flex Down program. I think it was spelled out pretty clearly, and I like the point as well that there will be, you have the opportunity to opt in or opt out, which is something we've always had, but again, as we're moving through this process, I like to keep it as clean as possible. Okay, entertain a motion to authorize Mike Hannickamp to enter into an agreement with Energy Alliance.
So moved.
Actually, with Integris.
Integris.
Yeah, your first motion actually, would be for you to select the supplier.
Okay.
And then, between the two bids that you've chosen, the bid presented by Integris.
I'll make a motion that we accept, or I make a motion that we select Integris Energy Services as the supplier.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Then next, we need a motion
To authorize me to
to
sign.
authorize Liger to sign the supply agreement.
So, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, your point is well taken, Gwen, and I think that's probably something we're gonna make sure we get on the website, kind of explain. This process is confusing, not just this process, but aggregation in general, and, monthly you're getting phone calls from different suppliers trying to get you to switch, and it is a greatly misunderstood program, I think. And it's probably the biggest negative of it, is there's a lot of confusion around it, but you know, like I say, so we'll try to put something on there to clarify some of the issues that are out there.
You know though, Mike, for as much as there is confusion, there's going to be that, even if we didn't have this program, there's going to be people out going door to door. I've had them come to my office and everything else. But I think this is a place where, as your local government, we've been able to orchestrate something to give back to the residents. We were, it was Coleraine, Westchester, and us, who I think were one of the first, if not the first jurisdiction to actually successfully put an energy aggregation program into practice. I think there was maybe Green had passed one before us, but I don't know if they actually did they? We were some of the very first, and now almost every jurisdiction in Southwest Ohio has some form of energy aggregation program, and we saved millions of dollars over the 10-year period if you count up everything for the residents. So it's one of those things where I know it's for these guys, this thing is just a kind of a headache because you're getting calls and everything.
We've actually referred to it as aggravation.
Energy aggravation, yeah.
But I think we're the first township.
I think that's
We were one of the first.
One of the first.
We were one of the first to do electric.
Yes.
Yes.
Gas had been sort of the thing that they
Yeah.
were prominent early on, and when we went through. So we broke into a lot of new ground, and as you said, Joe, a lot of savings. But there is a lot of confusion, and you're right, it exists either way. But I think what ends up being really confusing is sometimes when your supplier is also out soliciting people that aren't in the aggregation program individually, and that causes a lot of, for instance, if an IGS or a First Energy, sometimes they'll do it because the business isn't eligible, or somebody might not be eligible for one reason or another through the aggregation program. That causes some confusion, so.
And one thing that probably bears saying to the public is when these kind of door-to-door salesmen come around knocking on your door, they can't, as a general rule, offer as good a price as a government-sponsored energy aggregation program can do, because there's economy of scale. When you say the whole township is in this, them going door to door trying to enroll people usually, and they're getting a commission, this and that, you won't get as good a price with them as you do with the township. Just as a general rule, there could be exceptions, but I know that's how it's been explained to me.
I know my philosophy has always been beware of who's knocking at your door trying to sell you something.
Well, I can tell you, I figured out mine, it cost me about $880.
Oh,
Not bad.
Is
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
Wow.
So beware.
Okay, a couple other action items. The next is authorization to enter into our K-9 agreement. This is the agreement of our police officer for off-duty dog care activities. Essentially no change to the agreement. It's pretty much what we've had for, how many years it's been in place? 15 years or so. So it basically sets, there's no change to it. It's something that we enter into anyway. So just need a motion authorizing.
Need a motion?
Enter into that agreement. Or actually, you'll be entering into it.
We'll be in.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item that I have is the approval of the tender agreement with the Abrams Law Firm, Township Law Director, and this is one that we need to enter into this agreement, and again, there's no change to this agreement based on what it was in 2013.
So moved.
Need a second?
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And then, similar to the other actions, we have a ground lease Hamilton County Parks Districts. This is for Kelly Park. Around this, again, something we've had for many, many years. There's no change to it. We'll release this property from the county for $1 a year. We maintain that park, and it's used by our various associations for youth athletics. So this is a lease agreement for McKelvey, and again, authorization allowing me to sign and enter into that 10-year agreement.
This has been a real good asset for the community because it's always, that field is always actively being used. And for a dollar, it's a good deal, I think.
Excellent, yes.
Need a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item I have, we won't have any action right here, but we'll have a resolution later. And this deals with council governments in the township participated. You may kind of remember back in February of 2011, we passed a resolution, allowing our participation in an organization called the Council to Protect Ohio's Communities. This was formed, as I mentioned, as a regional council of governments. The primary purpose at that time, we participated with 5 other entities, so we're a total of 6 entities. Although this was largely focused on trying to protect revenue sources and avoid cuts by the state to local governments, our primary target focus was, of course, the estate tax, and try to prevent the repeal of the estate tax, which was being talked about back in 2011. Unfortunately, as all of us know, the estate tax got repealed, so the efforts of this council was unsuccessful, and it's remained in place. However, all of the entities and the creating entity, which is Shaker Heights community outside the Cleveland area, have kind of realized that it's really not serving any purpose. But because we're from all over the state, the only way to resolve it would be to have a meeting or have each community individually pass a resolution to withdraw. So that is what the purpose of that resolution, which is, I think, last on our agenda tonight, is to withdraw from the Council to Protect Ohio's Communities. Several other communities, Oakwood, there's another one just outside of Dayton area, which is also a member, has already taken this action, notice of that. So each community goes through their meeting this month, I think, probably by the end of this month or February, that council will be dissolved after all of this wrong. So nothing to do now, but that's what that resolution is for. That's all I have on action. A few discussion items. Last month, Mr. Hunterlaw and I met with a professor from the University of Virginia and also with a local company that specializes in the design and installation of sort of high-tech playgrounds and the installation of synthetic surface ball fields. And the purpose of the meeting was to sort of gauge the township's interest in participating with the University of Virginia and Professor Stanton and also this local company on a project which is called PLAY, and it stands for Playgrounds and Leisure Activities for Young Children, Youth, and their Families. And the goal behind this process is to do something fairly unique where they're looking to build a fully inclusive recreational facility. And what I mean by that is there are facilities, obviously, for what I would refer to as typical children who don't suffer any kind of physical or emotional or mental handicap. And then there have been facilities and parks that have sort of specialized on for children that have some type of handicap, whether that be they suffer through autism or they have some sort of sensory disorder, all the way up to a pretty severe physical handicap. And the parks are built with various equipment so that these children are able to participate fully the way a typical child would be. What sort of hasn't been done is a merging of the two. And this concept is to build one type of facility which is used by all children equally. And so that a child who has some type of handicap sees that they're participating in activities and the things on that park that are exactly the same as a fully typical program. And the reason the university is behind this and Dr. Stanton behind this is to be able to study what effects this has. And they believe that there is a strong connection that with these facilities can be built, you're sort of integrating these children and you're moving the stigma that some of them might feel. So ultimately what the proposal to the township is to see if we would be interested in participating in this grant proposal, where the University of Virginia would be involved in going out and actually writing the grant and trying to get funding. They've been successful in doing this in one other part of the country, actually in Virginia, and they would be responsible for providing all the funding to actually build, which is a kind of one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art park that would integrate this. Where the township comes in is we would be required, obviously, to provide the land, and we would be required, once it's built, to maintain it and upgrade it. And so that's sort of, the kind of nutshell of what we're talking about. We've looked internally at several sites, and while we don't have to name that site, we've looked at where something like this might work. We're still in the process of sort of honing in exactly what kind of cost we would be talking about long term. But clearly, this is an opportunity potentially to get a park, $1.5 to $2 million park, maybe even greater building in our community, which can become not only an asset for us, but sort of regional overall, and really do something unique and its inclusive nature. So what I'm looking for from the board, and what they're looking for to move forward, is a letter of support that just says the board does sort of commit that we will pursue this, and that, obviously there's a number of different things that could prevent it from ever happening, and we really don't have a site that fits and meets all of the guidelines. Obviously, it may never get funded, so there's a variety of things that could happen, but this is sort of that first step. And just officially says that, yes, we want to look into this further and potentially pursue it. So I'm just looking for a motion from the board authorizing me to actually draft that order.
I think it's a good opportunity. It's kind of one of these nothing ventured, nothing gained. The renderings that I saw, this was an incredibly nice park, and it's a place where if you're a parent and you have a disabled child and you have non-disabled children, as it stands now, many times you can take your non-disabled children to one place and you might be able to take your disabled child to another, but there's no place they can all go together. So I think it's a great idea, and I think from what Professor Stanton said, it's been very popular where they've done it, and I think it could be a real plus for the community. So I think it's worth pursuing.
But Joe, if you just look at the ball field element of it, with having a synthetic surface ball field, it could be, and the idea is that this is the ball field that can be used, by any group in the township. And we all know what our biggest struggle is maintenance and how do you cut the grass and how do you line the drag fields. This would be, in essence, a maintenance-free field. Given the weather patterns that we have, it would be playable after rain events immediately, so you don't have a lot of the issues that we run into. So I think it's something that the community would use, and all of the athletic associations in the township would benefit from. But the idea is that then also the children, some of these are referred to as miracle fields. This isn't exact, it's similar in the construction, but it's different in the fact that on a miracle field, generally only handicapped children are playing. This field would then also accommodate children in wheelchairs and sometimes pretty heavy equipment that they need, that they can participate. So they're doing it on the same field as, say, a high school team or a softball team or something along those lines. So it removes the stigma that I'm not on a special field, I'm on the same field that everybody else is on. But it would be tremendously beneficial for us to have a field like that, just because it's going to be able to accommodate heavy utilization.
What I like about it, basically from what I've read, is that number one, it helps eliminate that social stigma related to anyone with any special needs issues. And the other thing that I like is how even all children like to be challenged with sensory kinds of objects. I look at how young children are adapting quickly to computers, and some people who are not as young as they are still fit, looking at the challenge. And from my perspective, it's always been a concern that the community in in no way can stigmatize an individual based on how they look, how they walk, how they talk, or anything like that. So I think it would be a real asset for the community. I'd like to see you go ahead and explore that. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
I agree, I think the playground is the biggest thing. I mean, I know the field would be great, when we have fields and all that, the playground would be great for kids that have some sort of disability.
So,
So it's in early stages, but
Right.
let's.
Yeah, just want a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
The only other item I have is our personnel update. We limited activity to accept the retirement of Ben Castillo as a paramedic firefighter. The effective date of that retirement is January the 2nd, and it was for medical purposes, for medical reasons rather. And then also happy to announce the promotion and appointment of Mike Gould, who has been a long-term member of our service, appointed as the interim assistant service director, effective January the 1st. It's a very rigorous process, and we're him and everybody else out, so he's sitting in the back, so we're thrilled to have him in that new capacity with the township.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kim, I'll turn it over to you and ask you to bring us up to date on arts and enrichment. Hopefully most of our communication projects, hopefully the residents have received the new brochure that went out.
Yes, I am really excited and proud to introduce the community to the first Arts Connect complete activity guidebook. This is a look at everything that's going on for the year 2015, starting immediately, which is really exciting. We're going to be bringing back community concerts, but it's with the community that we're doing this with. So we have a group of residents who are really interested in bringing back those community concerts like they used to be. And so there's information about how residents can get involved and be part of our concert committee. Our immediate next event is our Playhouse in the Park event, which is February the 6th. That, just because you're bringing up about children with special needs, this particular play deals with autism. So we're bringing in a pre-show with the Finneytown cheerleaders. They have a group of cheerleaders that is all-inclusive. So high school students of needs and just regular abilities are all cheering together. So they'll kick off that show. And then after the free Playhouse in the Park show, all the kids will make pom-poms. All the event is free. This book also has a whole list of all of the new classes that we're going to be offering and just a lot of really neat events that we're kicking off. So hopefully everybody got those in their mailboxes. If not, they can pick them up here at the Township Administration Building.
What I like about this, and we're, again, somewhat a step ahead of some of our other townships and communities around us, is that most of our residents are now staying home and enjoying the activities in our township versus going to another municipality, and that's good. And a lot of those individuals that live in other municipalities are coming to us as well.
Yeah, I just think people are looking for an overall community that gives you that quality of life, and that's what we're able to provide.
So when you get this in the mail, this is it. You can open it up, read it, it has a lot of great information. And you can also plan ahead with your family for some of the events, and the contact information is in there as well.
Know what we're talking about, and that's the event coming up next Wednesday. Combination of police and doing.
What this is a program that we had some years back with Debbie Gardner. She's a renowned self-defense expert. She's kind of tailored her program. This time it's going to be, so I think everybody's aware, we can't be everywhere all the time. What we're hoping to do is kind of give our citizens an insight into how they can defend themselves and their families in the event that a situation would occur. So it's an excellent program. It's been seen around the nation and very, very well respected program. So we're excited about it. And it's the 28th at 7 o'clock. And we have have about 110 that are registered now, so we're more than prepared for another 100. So you can sign up on our website or call myself or Kim.
And it's back to work.
At the work, yes.
Great. Anything else, Kim?
Actually, I have one more plug, because on that same day, January the 28th, during the daytime, we're having a business speed networking event. So businesses from Springfield Township, from the city of Cherville, Mount Healthy, and Wyoming are all getting together, and it's kind of like speed dating. Every 3 minutes, you're meeting another business professional, giving out your business card, giving you your spiel. This is our 4th year of doing this event, and people can actually register on the Cherville Chamber of Commerce's site. It's $15 on that same day on January 28th at noon.
Thank you. I was hoping to bring that up. Thank you. Okay.
The board has copies of the departmental activity reports, unless there's questions. That's all I have.
With our most recent episode with a little bit of snow and ice, I just want to commend the road department, the service department for getting out there and getting our streets taken care of, and so we can get back and forth to work in a safe manner. So neighbors don't.
A little easier this year. A little easier.
It's been much easier this year compared to last year,
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, just keep our fingers crossed. Okay, now we are moving on to board resolutions. First resolution is resolution number 7-2015, declaring nuisances pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.87 at various listed properties within Springfield Township, and authorize the statutory actions necessary to abate the nuisances. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honeywell?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next resolution is number 8-2015, establishing assessment for abatement of nuisance and certifying same to the Hamilton County Auditor. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honeywell?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next resolution is number 9-2015, authorizing the private sale of motor vehicles which were titled to the township pursuant to revised code 4513.61 and revised code 4513.62, and which are not needed or fit for use in the police department. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honeywell?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next resolution is number 10-2015, authorizing the sale of internet auction of vehicles forfeited to Springfield Township pursuant to section 4503.233/E and 1 of the Ohio Revised Code, which are no longer needed for public use and they are obsolete or unfit for use in the police department. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honeywell?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Next resolution is number 11-2015, authorizing the private sale of vehicles forfeited to Springfield Township pursuant to section 4503.233, section E1 of the Ohio Revised Code, which are no longer needed for public use, are obsolete or unfit for use in the police department. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honeywell?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
This next resolution, number 12-2015, is the one that Mr. Hennekamp discussed earlier, approving the township's withdrawal from the Council to Protect Ohio's Community, CPOC. Need a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mr. Burning?
Aye.
Mr. Honeywell?
Aye.
Ms. McFarland?
Aye.
Resolution carries.
Old business, any old business?
I did not.
Mr. Honeywell?
No business.
New business.
Under new business, the only thing I wanted to do is kind of give an update. I am a member of the Henry County Land Bank and serve on that committee representing the townships of Henry County. And one of the issues which we've had before the land bank has been the Beech Grove Cemetery, and we were able to get the law changed in Ohio to where this property can be taken through a land bank proceeding with the Board of Revision. That cemetery's fallen into disrepair in many ways, and the townships has basically undertaken the maintenance. You know, if you notice on these resolutions, we passed resolutions against the property for their failure to, abide by the revised code as far as cutting weeds and things. But there's a house out there, I guess it may be at one time was a caretaker's house, and it's in a deplorable condition now. It needs to come down. This was scheduled, I know,
February.
was scheduled in February,
For February.
and the county auditors indicated that they need additional time to process this case along with others, and so they suggested that they move it back to April along with a number of other cases. I have asked the staff of the Port Authority and the staff of the land bank to try to make an exception and see if they can get the auditor to deal with this one case. This is a building that really needs to come down, and we're wanting to do it with money that the Port Authority has, or excuse me, that the land bank has, rather than do it with township funds. So we are working on that, and I know, Gwen, you've been in contact with Auditor Rhodes, and we're trying to push them to get that thing dealt with. I know, particularly for the people that live over in that area on Fleming Road, they would like to see it gone.
Thank you for your persistence there, and I'm expecting a report back from the auditor's department sometime, hopefully this week.
Yes.
Any new business? Okay. Now on our agenda, we come to citizens' participation, and anyone that has any comments or would like to share anything with the trustees, you can step to the podium. I do ask that anyone in the audience, if there is someone at the podium abstaining from speaking or talking or discussing anything, so that we can hear the individual who is providing some feedback or information to us. Is there anyone interested?
David Bailey, the almost retired pastor of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church, 9191 Daly Road. And kind of two broad things I want to talk about. First, I want to thank the township for allowing me to participate in these meetings and participate in some of the events that have happened over the last 12 years. You've taught me a lot. And when I was thinking about these comments, I said, when I thought, well, you've taught me about small government, and then I realized it's not small at all. You've taught me about local government, but I know a lot of local governments that are, in sad shape. What you taught me about was engaged and effective government. And it feels at times like we see so little of that this was just an oasis of seeing people who were in leadership in the community, engaged in the community, effective in the community, and listened to the community. And I think I said this before, one of the great things I like about these meetings is that folks like me can get up and talk, and you'll listen and respond, and sometimes there's a lively debate that goes on, but it's interaction, and you don't get to see that very often. It's been this wonderful experience of learning about how township government works, both the theory and laws and the hands-on stuff. I remember when Mike, I was part of a group, and Mike told us that the only two things that townships have to do are take care of their roads and take care of their cemeteries. So hearing about the cemetery again just reminded me of that, and the care that you've taken with that. I am retiring from St. Stephen's. I will no longer be around the township meetings, but what my hope is that you might get to see bits and pieces of me in Columbus. Well, why Columbus? I've gotten involved in an activity looking at the rights of parents of severely mentally disabled kids and adolescents. And everybody in the system does their best to do what they're allowed to do. And it's a disaster. Editorialized there for a moment. It's a disaster. And it looks like I'm going to be perhaps going up to Columbus and talking to some folks with another group of people about what could be done to sort out the rights families have when there are children with severe mental disabilities, that the family still gets to be involved with the child's upbringing, even if they can't afford to take care of the institutional stuff. I have one other note here. I'm going to miss finding out how high your heels are at these meetings. So anyhow, thank you for the last 12 years. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm deeply appreciative. It's been kind of an emotional time for me, and I want to commend one of our police officers, Officer Carter, and his canine. I guess it was yesterday, at 2:29 a.m., he was checking the doors at St. Stephen's and found one of the doors was unlocked. I have a card, reminding me to make sure that I lock the door on the way out. And I'll hand this over to you, and if you would thank Officer Carter for me, because it was, where we are, and to have somebody actually check the door was wonderful. So again, thank you.
Pastor Bailey, I know that you are planning to retire, but I know that you're not going to be outside as well. And so I know we'll see you around because you've been a real asset for the community, especially elections and nights. And the work that you're going to be doing in Columbus, and I think it's probably going to be around self-determination and helping individuals to become more independent and interdependent. It's a great job.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is there anyone else? Seeing there is no one else, we need to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting's adjourned.